Hello everyone, and welcome back to Casual Completers. My name is the Son of Morning, and as I'll probably say throughout every video moving forward, it's been a while. I know. I'm sorry. This is just life at this point. In any case, though, let's talk about today's game. So, first off, I'm a huge fan of action-adventure games, so at some point, expect most of the Assassin's Creed games to be seen on this channel. I have been playing action-adventure games since I was young, as starting with, I think my first game was literally Toe Jam and Earl on the Sega Genesis. So, with that, for today's episode, we are going to be looking at the 2014 game Shadow of Mordor and its subsequent DLCs, The Bright Lord and The Lord of the Hunt. We'll talk about the games, we'll talk about the achievements. So with that, let's get started. Alright, so here's the deal. We all love Lord of the Rings. I mean, who doesn't? It's got elves, it's got dragons, wizards, hobbits, and my personal favorite, dwarves. Lord of the Rings was written, as you probably know, by J.R.R. Tolkien, the man who literally helped write the Oxford Dictionary after World War I and started writing his titular series, though the first book was actually The Hobbit, not Lord of the Rings. Tolkien was a fantastic writer, and the Elvish language is not just a random assortment of words, it's a full-fledged language that he created. If you know anything about languages, you know how insane this feat is. If you don't know anything about language, it's insane. So, the Lord of the Rings movies also have one of my favorite characters and all-around badass human beings, Sir, and you put some goddamn respect on that name, Christopher Lee as Saruman the White. And while I can't find online if it's the case, there are 3 lines given by Saruman the White, which I believe are lines by Sir, and you put respect on that damn name, Christopher Lee. Alright, enough backstory. Let's now talk about Shadow of Mordor. I'm going to try to be as spoiler-free as I can, but this is your big, fat spoiler warning, and spoilers will be included in some way, shape, or form. The main character, Talion, voiced by the fantastic Troy Baker, is the ranger on the Black Gate, on the border between Mordor and Gondor. It has been something like 60 years since The Hobbit. One random day, the orc race known as the Uruk attacked the Black Gate along with 3 of Sauron's minions, the Black Hand, the Tower, and the Hammer. Within the first 5 minutes of the game, you watch Talion's family get Altef Ford, and Talion follows suit. But it'd be a pretty quick game if that was it. Talion does not, pick the bucket. Instead, he gets possessed, infected, whatever word you want to use, by a wraith. It's not possession, as Talion's movements are his own, more like the wraith becomes his roommate, keeping him alive. The game turns into your standard revenge story, trying to hunt down the big 3 that killed you, while also figuring out who the wraith is. For spoilers' sake, I won't reveal who they are on the off chance you have not played this game yet, but once we hit the DLC portion of this video, spoilers, so, you can just skip past that bit. Throughout the story, you come across several different characters, including Gollum, who calls the Wraith Bright Master, and a rather ambitious, albeit questionably intelligent orc named Ratbag. This actually leads into the gameplay of Shadow Mordor and one of my favorite systems in all of gaming, the Nemesis system. Alright, so let's talk about gameplay. Shadow of Mordor is a third-person, over-the-shoulder, combat inspired, if not directly taken from the Batman Arkham games. We'll get into combat and movement in a moment, but first I want to talk about the selling point of the game, the Nemesis system. So, in Shadow of Mordor, you will slay, murder, decapitate, immolate, and overall be a mild nuisance to the orc population in Mordor. But, as with all armies, there has to be some chain of command, and while the Uruks aren't necessarily the best at this, they do have captains and war chiefs. These Uruks are specially named, and each come with weaknesses and strengths. These Uruks are literally, well, I don't know if literally, but they are basically procedurally generated. So you will have a hard time coming across the same orc playthrough to playthrough, or account to account. This creates a sort of lived-in story where these captains and war chiefs only inhabit your world, and it's your duty to cut them down. Little caveat to that, though, when you're doing some of the achievements, especially when dealing with the trials, we'll get to that in a moment, the war chiefs are actually all the same. So, just a heads up for that. Now, the reason it's called the Nemesis system is because of how the captains and war chiefs interact with Talion. They can make comments based on several different variables, such as how you came across them, have they killed you before, did they run away last time you fought, did you kill them but they came back. Yes, you absolutely heard that right. You can Alt F4 a captain and they can and sometimes will come back. They usually will have an altered appearance based on how you killed them. For example, I had a captain come back 2 times after I put him down. It's such a great system, and the only way to do it justice is to experience it yourself. Nothing is quite like killing a captain, then roaming or doing a mainline mission, and they just poof, hi, how you doing? And you gotta take him out again. Also, yeah, even though you're on like a main mission, you can absolutely come across captains in the Nemesis system, or just they'll be there, you know? They'll just spawn or be around in the area and go, hi, I'm ready to kill you now. Each captain or war chief was like a mini-boss. Some were pretty easy to kill, and others took a very specific set of moves that could hurt them. The only way to truly put down a captain is to decapitate or blow their head off. If you kill them in any other way, then they have the ability to come back. The best part, you won't know what happened until they show up, or, you know, their space in the Sauron army tab gets filled. So captains, as I said before, work off strength and weaknesses. For example, some captains may have a fear of fire, meaning if you can set them on fire, they'll run away from the fight, turning their icon green and you being able to do much more damage as well as grab them. Now, some captains may have a hatred of fire, so setting them on fire will increase their strength, give them regeneration while they are enraged, and it means that you can't brand them and make them your own. Some captains can't be hurt by certain damage types, such as combat finishers, range damage, or sneak damage. Sometimes, just looking at the orc, you can get an idea of what their strength or weaknesses might be. For example, if they have a crossbow, they are probably going to have a higher chance of not taking damage from the bow or ranged abilities. Some orcs may only have one weakness and be invulnerable to all other types of damage. This can make them very difficult to kill, and truly are bosses in their own right. The Uruks can also kill you. I know, shock and surprise. And if they're a captain, they'll level up, potentially gain a new strength, while if a low-level grunt gets the final smackdown, they will be promoted to captain. They will be given a name, they will be given strength and weaknesses. Now, it's not all doom and gloom, though, so if you go down, you do potentially have the ability to have a final stand. If you succeed, you'll rise with about half health. If you do get put down again, assuming you have no other abilities, the orc that put you down in that short period of time will insta-kill you. So, watch out for that. Orcs are constantly fighting and dying with each other, so some orcs may die in orc-on-orc violence, and others will rise from the lowly ranks of grunts to being the head and war chief before you come by and decapitate them. Or set them on fire. Honestly, whichever you like more. Alright, now that we've spoken about the objects of your sword's desire to murder, let's talk about the decapitator itself, Talion. So, Talion has a sword, a dagger, which is just a broken sword, and a bow that is used by the Wraith. The sword is your main weapon, but I found myself sneaking around and just eviscerating with the dagger whenever I had the chance. The animations are just, oh, so good. So yeah, in case you didn't already know, this game can be pretty violent, so blood and heads not being on bodies isn't really your thing, I'd take a pass. As stated before, Shadow of Mordor plays in a third-person over-the-shoulder view where you control the camera, albeit it does not always cooperate, and on a few occasions it actually started freaking out where it just started vibrating, is honestly the best way to do it. I don't think I have any footage of it, but yeah, it just started vibrating. Overall, though, it's pretty tight. I would recommend lowering your sensitivity, otherwise you might get motion sick. When it comes to player progression, you have a few different sections. You have perks, with each level of perk being unlocked at certain power levels. Power levels are gained by killing captains, doing captain missions, which are the red icons on the screen, and mainline story missions. You get experience, which gives you skill points, and you use those points to purchase the perks. The perks are useful as they give you more power, but it's rather simplistic and straightforward. You are able and are supposed to unlock every perk, so no worries about a quote-unquote build. There's nothing like that. You also have player upgrades, which encompass health, focus, arrow count, etc. These are not very in-depth, and while I wish I could have seen a bit more of that, honestly, it works fine enough. The rest of the game is honestly as simple as that. Do mission, kill Uruk. But it really is the Nemesis system that ties everything together. Alright, let's talk DLC. If you don't want to see the spoilers, then you can just skip ahead. There are two mainline DLCs that add story, the Bright Lord and Lord of the Hunt. There are a bunch of smaller DLCs that add new types of orcs, special runes, and skins for Talion. I won't really go over these, and I'm only going to briefly touch on these two DLCs because they're sort of the same as the main game, but you'll see what I mean. First, I must admit, the two DLCs are absolutely worth it. They simply add more Shadow of Mordor. They don't really change up the formula of the game or throw in a bunch of insane gimmicks. If you enjoyed Shadow of Mordor gameplay, you will enjoy these two DLCs. Starting with Lord of the Hunt, Torvin contacts Talion requesting his aid in hunting down some prey. That prey being a bunch of new hunter-orc war chiefs. There are a few new things, such as a Karagath, which is just the cat version of the Karagor, and Bile Grogs, which are just grogs that throw up on people, on the Uduk. It's kind of nasty. Talion gets a new look and a few extra powers, but besides that, it's truly just more of the same. Kill Uduks till, you kill the war chief, and so on and so forth. There are collectibles, though they don't really give much upon completion, and there aren't any achievements tied to that collectible. So, with that, let's just move on. The Bright Lord DLC is a little bit different. You don't actually play as Talion, you play as the Wraith when he was, not dead. The Wraith, and again, saying it one more time, spoilers, is Celebrimbor, the creator of the One Ring. Well, okay, so during this DLC, you steal the One Ring from Sauron, and then you get to use it. It's a pretty useful tool, all things considered, and it lets you, once you brand enough Uduks, you can use its power to slow down time, have infinite combos, allowing you to execute, brand, and set on fire as many Uduks as you want for as long as the power is active. While active as well, all captains and war chiefs that have a strength, such as they can't be hit with an arrow, disappear, allowing you to hit them with arrows. Besides that, though, Celebrimbor is trying to amass an army to take on Sauron, and outside of the One Ring's powers, it's just, again, more of the same Shadow of Mordor gameplay. As I said, it's nothing revolutionary, but if you enjoyed Shadow of Mordor, you will enjoy these DLCs. I do recommend getting them on sale, though. I feel the current asking price is a bit high for an older game and the DLCs, but if you can get them on sale, highly recommend. Alright, finally, let's talk achievements. There are 74 total achievements, with a few coming from each DLC. Steam does not tell you which ones are needed for a DLC, so I recommend you look up a guide so you know which ones need to be done in that DLC. For example, there is one that requires you to sneak up and sneak brand a Uduk. Now, I did this so many times in the base game, and it just would not pop the achievement. So I looked online and realized that you can only get that achievement while doing the Bright Lord DLC. I don't know why they did that. That seems kind of dumb, but whatever. Is what it is. So, 71 of those achievements are relatively simple. 3 of them, though, are not. And my god, did these 3 achievements grind me down. They are Lord of the Ring, The Hunt is My Mistress, and Beyond Epic. Lord of the Ring and The Hunt is My Mistress are part of the trials in which you have to get the achievement to pop, you have to do all of the requirements within a certain time. The Lord of the Ring achievement was especially painful because I rage quit the game for a good few weeks after a bug killed my run at 75% the way in. Too bad I am also a grade A idiot, and when I force closed the game, it actually saved my progress. So I was just able to hop back in and able to finish it a couple weeks after I had just rage quit. So yeah, whoops. Other than those 3 achievements, the rest are just much easier, and you just might have to reset a mission or two to try to get it to work, but overall, it was quite fun to get those achievements. Finally, as I said, I really enjoyed this game and the achievement grind, minus those 3. I highly recommend this game to everyone if this is your style of gameplay. I'd say this game is a solid 8 out of 10, with points being taken off for some annoying controls and basic player progression, with the achievements also being a solid 8 out of 10. Really fun for the most part, but I hate anything time trial based. Anything based off of a time trial, I hate it with a passion. I don't know what it is, I just don't like being pressured with that time. If time trial events and achievements could just stop existing, I'd be a very happy camper. Anyways, I am looking at also potentially changing up the way I do these videos, but unsure of that for now. So in the meantime, I hope you've enjoyed today's video. If you did, please remember to do all those things that other YouTubers request, and I will see you in the next one, whenever that actually is. So, peace!